My father, Raymond Baxter, is thought of as an action man, and he was, on screen and off screen. He didn't just say things, he actually did them as well.
You join me in a hawk.
Good gracious alive.
The BBC's Raymond Baxter is among the rally contestants.
There will now be a short pause while I put my eyes back in.
He joined the BBC in the 1950s and stayed with them on and off for the next 50 years. The Farnborough Air Show was one of his favourite jobs. He knew what he was talking about. He'd been a Spitfire pilot.
I was 19, scared stiff and fiercely proud.
I was 8 when my father started to present Tomorrow's World. It was popular science for everybody. I think he probably got the job because he was already known for doing motor racing and aviation.
All in stainless steel, which doesn't react significantly with the body's tissues.
My big brother Graham and I used to watch it pretty much every week, which may have been in part because Top of the Pops was on immediately afterwards. I once was on the programme myself. I got to play one of the games of the future. Not exactly Xbox, which you can probably see by the expression on my face when I played it.
I was 10 years old when my grandpa died in 2006. Even though he was a serious man, he was very funny.
It's safer and it's cheaper because it doesn't work.
Professor, this is a somewhat unusual-looking space rocket. Would you care to explain why? No.
He was always a bit of a rebel. He always loved to surprise people, and he always put his heart into things.
Raymond had a terrific sense of humour, and I found that such a great help when in 1972 I had the chance to join him on the Tomorrow's World team.
Because the disc and the bubbles are magnetic, what we've got here is really the equivalent of a tiny tape recorder.
I remember one night driving in the snow and ice across the Yorkshire moors, and I was foolish enough to ask Raymond if he was entirely comfortable driving in these conditions. Quite quietly, he said, without any sense of boasting, "Dear boy, I won my class in the Monty."
Do you remember the body armour?
Anyone who saw that will never forget it.
That one really worried him. The safety, where the bullets were going to go. I don't think it showed on camera, but anyone who looked closely and anyone who I think knew him would have realised that he was very, very concerned.
I think it was that sort of dedication that ensured that all of us who worked with him felt we always had to give of our very best.
He used to come back from doing exciting stuff like the first hovercraft crossing of the Channel and flying on Concorde. He liked new things, and he liked to try out new things, not just on television, but in his own life as well. We had an amphibious vehicle called the Otter, which we used to tow around the country, memorably once at Windermere after severe flooding and storms. And an RAC man came by and said, "It's okay, sir, I'll get you out of there in no time." Mirage was my father's pride and joy. She was one of 700 little ships that left from Ramsgate in 1940 to evacuate the troops from the beaches of Dunkirk. And 25 years later, he very much wanted to take her back, and did with a lot of other little ships.
We are British. We know what we're doing and we believe in what we're doing.
And the little ships have been going back every 5 years ever since.
We often had picnics and boat trips on the Thames. We used to dangle from the hatch just there, and sometimes he'd tickle our feet as he was driving the boat.
My parents were married for 51 years. She died in 1996. He was never the same without her. Even so, he was charmingly, stubbornly, belligerently independent to the very end.